beautiful state of New Mexico, the backdrop to many famous TV shows and movies. For our older motoring demographic, you may remember The Rifleman, and for a more contemporary motoring demographic, they're shooting, of course, right now Breaking Bad. And speaking of shooting as I speak, they're shooting scenes now for the upcoming Lone Ranger movie. But what am I doing here? Well, Mercedes phoned me up and said, Brad, we'd like you to test our new GL. I thought to myself, full-size sport utility, close to 100 grand. The news is full of bad economic times. The buzz is really, small, electric, hybrids, etc., etc. Maybe you, our motoring audience, won't like it, and maybe you will turn me off. Well, don't, because you ready for this? They tell me that the GL is outselling all other full-size sport utilities both in Canada and the United States. The numbers aren't big, but hey, let's take a few minutes, have a look at the new GL, and let's find out if Americans are finally buying in to diesel.
This car has performed exceedingly well in North America, specifically in Canada. Last year we were the market leader again in the large luxury sport utility segment, and I think that's a testament to the vehicle's overall capability in every aspect, from safety, refined comfort. It's really unparalleled in its segment.
For us, the story about the GL is a real success story. Already with the first generation and with the second generation, we wanted to catch up with it, and that is why we said the second generation has to be the S-Class among the SUVs, and that is why we want to make it even safer and more comfortable and also more efficient.
They took these GLs off-roading, well, mild off-roading, but the reason I sound surprised is, let's say you own one of these between $75,000 and $100,000. Would you take your GL off-roading? I don't think so, but it gives Mercedes an opportunity to show you the technology you're paying for but not using. And speaking of technology, this car has more bells and whistles to keep you safe on the highway, but the one I like the most, check this out. It's the 360 camera. Along with the rear camera, you actually get a bird's eye view of your vehicle. Now, this is an option that I could live with.
For 2013, we're offering more safety features, more comfort. It's been said that it's the S-Class of SUVs. It carries that moniker very well.
This is the V6 BlueTech diesel found in the GL 350, which happens to be the favorite flavor of the GL in Canada. In the United States, it's a different story where Americans haven't really bought into diesel. In fact, just a few years ago, Mercedes actually toured America showcasing its clean diesel. Bill Craven is the general manager of regulatory affairs for Mercedes-Benz in Washington. He is passionate about clean air.
Back in the 60s and 70s, we used to look at the tailpipe pollutants coming out, and we measured them in thousands of kilograms per 100,000 kilometers. The particulate matter, the soot, the black stuff that diesels are so well known for in the past, the measurement is just a baby's breath away from what California considers a zero emission vehicle. That's those vehicles out here today.
That was in 2008. Diesel has improved since then, which is why they can call it clean diesel. However, let's not be too tough on our American counterparts, because diesel can cost up to 50 cents more per gallon at the gas pump.
As we bring out these vehicles, that there's no compromise in diesel. You have excellent range, you have all the torque that you have, so you have the fun to drive factor. So it's really a great option for Canada.
Here in the States and also in Canada, we have the US competitors like the Escalades, the Navigators, all the 7-seater full-size SUVs basically that are in the market, the premium ones. In here in North America, we are market leader, and in the US, for example, last year we sold more than 27,000 units of the GL, and that makes us the market leader in front of all the competitors. Well, I think it's just fun to drive the vehicle. You will experience, I hope a lot of customers will experience, to have a great riding comfort, a great safety level for you and your whole family. So just the perfect car from my point of view.
We all know about American muscle, but let me show you the German version.
We've come a long way, baby, but we've still got a long way to go. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
At one time, it was famous for rusting and stalling, even if it just looked like rain. That was then, this is now. On this edition of Test Drive, the all-new Dodge Dart. Having toiled in the mid-entry level category with the dismal Caliber, the launch of the Dart is an important one for Dodge. Thankfully, the continuously annoying transmission that marred the Caliber's driving experience has gone, as has its homely and decidedly boxy look. The Dart, in contrast, is a sharp looker that arrives with some very pleasant and equally unexpected surprises. The cabin of this Dodge Dart has been very nicely finished off. Decent materials and all of the toys you could want, with the exception of heated seats. Now, for some reason, they're the exclusive domain of much more expensive models. There is, however, one standout feature. Right here, 8.4-inch touch screen that's the home to Uconnect. Now, this Uconnect system is the simplest to operate on the market, period. My 7-year-old daughter managed to pair a phone without reading the owner's manual or getting it wrong once. Now try that with a BMW or Mercedes-Benz. It really does set a new benchmark for simplicity. It also controls things like the climate control, navigation system if you have it on board, as well as the audio functions, and you can set the car up. In the end, one thing it does do, it removes the cabin of a whole bunch of needless buttons. While the base Dart arrives with a 2-litre engine, forget it, and go with the Fiat Source 1.4-litre turbocharged multi-air engine. It's a lively thing that delivers 160 horsepower and, more importantly, 184 pound-feet of torque anywhere between 2,500 and 4,000 RPM. In the end, it delivers an engine that's a smooth operator, although there is a little turbo lag until the engine reaches around 1,800 RPM. At this point, it catches fire and delivers spirited performance. The tester also featured the base manual transmission. If there's a Dodge Dart in your future, make sure you go with the automatic and not the manual transmission. It's not so much the gearbox, because it actually has a good gate and a decent clutch. It is, however, all about the ratios. No sooner you go into first gear, you shift into second to third, and by the time you hit fourth gear, you're beginning to get into the overdrive gears. The problem, the basic turbo lag you feel with this engine, it really does introduce a listlessness to this engine that you really don't want. The automatic, no such malady. Transmission quibble aside, the engine and manual box do work very well in the Dart when it's urged onward. The combination puts 100k on the clock in 8.7 seconds. What did surprise me, however, was the 80 to 120 passing time. It does not feel particularly fast, however, a stopwatch pegged it at a very quick 5.3 seconds. That in this segment is very good, as is the fuel economy. A test average of 8.6 litres per 100 kilometres was much better than I expected. There is remarkable room in the back of this Dodge Dart. 13.1 cubic feet in the trunk, and when you sit in the back seat, plenty of leg room and enough headroom for somebody that's 6'2". But therein lies the rub. 2. You can only fit 2 back here because of the tunnel, the centre console, the dome seat, and this is your backrest. Where the Dodge Dart really surprised me is the manner in which it handles. At the preview I was impressed, but nowhere near as impressed as I was after living with it for a week and pushing it through the pylons. The suspension dials out most of the body roll without feeling too firm, and the steering has a reassuringly dialed-in responsiveness. The on-centre feel is very good, and the linearity as it's turned off-centre is crisp without feeling twitchy. Very few cars manage to get the balance between ride, handling and steering feel quite as good as Dodge managed with the Dart. Dodge has done a very good job with this new Dart, provided you pick your options carefully. Don't bother with a base engine, waste of time. go with the 1.4. It's an inexpensive option. Likewise, don't go manual, go automatic. And if you have a wish list, make sure that Uconnect is on it. It is the simplest system on the market. Put all that lot together, factor in the handling, and you have a very good car.
We all know about American muscle, but let me show you the German version. This is an Audi RS5, and this is the 2-minute test drive. The RS5 is easy to describe. Think of UFC champion George St. Pierre in a 3-piece suit. Don't be fooled by the understated looks. It can lay a beating on just about anything at any time. The RS5 has a V8 like its American counterparts, although it's a 4.1 liter that puts out 450 horsepower and 316 foot-pounds of torque. Now I'm going to show you the difference between this German muscle car and an American muscle car. It's this button right here. Gives it 3 different personalities, either comfort, auto, dynamic. It's really like having 3 different cars in one. And when this RS5 is $91,000, that's only $30,000 each. Luxury abounds with brilliant seats, great stereo, and a simple Audi MMI. The biggest difference for the German version of the muscle car is that it's for all seasons. When the Mustangs and Corvettes are put away for the winter, the RS5 welcomes it, and the worst of conditions, thanks to the legendary Quattro system.
Now what I showed you, even with 454 horsepower, there's still not enough power to overcome the grip. And on a highway, that's a great thing. That's what keeps you safe.
My pet peeve? I drove this car for over a week and a half, and I knew I had to come up with something, but I just couldn't. The only thing I can think of is this is a limited production. They make 250 over 2 years, and my number, 251. The RS5 is as close to perfect as I've seen. It really is a year-round muscle car that transforms into a wife-friendly daily driver. Like I said, perfect. I'm Russ Bond, and this has been the 2-minute test drive.
Did you know? Brought to you by the Kia Optima Hybrid. Did you know cruise control improves fuel economy? In an urban setting, cruise is ineffective and should not be engaged. However, on a long highway run, better fuel economy is achieved by a simple click of a button on the steering wheel. Engaging the cruise control can cut fuel consumption by as much as 14%. The reason is simple. It maintains a constant speed without needlessly jabbing the gas, as many drivers tend to do on an extended run. More importantly, it also helps to reduce driver fatigue. The numbers say it all. Driver fatigue may account for 30% of all deaths due to a car crash. Now that's a sobering thought.
So the goal here is we have an equivalent load of camping equipment that a family would need to go out for the weekend. And so we said, there's so much cargo space in this vehicle, if you utilize all of the space in the trunk, it can get in there. And the idea is, if we have a group of, let's say, 10, 15 journalists, can you get it all into the vehicle?
The Motoring Tip of the Week is brought to you by Walmart. For everyday low prices on Pennzoil, conventional, and synthetic oils.
Our motoring tip of the week concerns cabin air filters. Now, depending on the make, model, and year of your vehicle, you may or may not have a cabin air filter installed in your vehicle. But as vehicle designs evolve, more and more vehicles, the engineers are placing this filter in because it filters all the air entering your vehicle. So it keeps dust, dirt, pollen, and all kinds of debris from entering the vehicle. You've got a cleaner vehicle interior, and you've got cleaner air to breathe in the vehicle. But if and when this filter becomes clogged or restricted, and this particular one out of a Windstar was pretty much completely clogged, you can see all the debris in it. Once this is restricted, you don't get full cooling or full heating because all the air entering the vehicle has to pass through this. If it's restricted, you're not getting good performance out of your heater and air conditioner. Now, it's a fairly inexpensive filter, and on many cars, it's actually pretty simple to change. So if you're moderately talented on working on a piece of machinery, you can probably change this filter yourself, and you go to your owner's manual. In many cases, there's a pretty good description of how to do it. On this Yukon, there's actually 2 cabin air filters stacked one in front of each other right under here. We had to change them a year or so ago. They were quite restricted or plugged. Many vehicles, they're out under the hood at the base of the windshield in the wiper cowl area, usually a plastic trim panel you remove and fairly easy to access. If your vehicle has one and it's due to be changed, you'll get better performance by replacing the cabin air filter. That's your motoring tip of the week.
For 2013, the Honda Civic is taking on a more familiar look, one borrowed from the Honda Accord, but that's on purpose. Honda wants there to be a familial look, but in the case of the Civic, it's also a question of regaining a more youthful look for this car, something that frankly was missing in the 2012 update. So, this younger, youthful look Honda is going for expresses itself with a new open-mouthed lower bumper with chrome accent and black honeycomb mesh grille with integrated fog lights. At the back, a new bumper and trunk lid carries a clean, straight chrome trim over the new taillights. And the car rides now on all new 15, 16, and 17-inch rims. Inside, the revamp of the Civic means buyers can expect new premium materials, leather-trimmed doors, chrome accents throughout, and a very sharp, optional, all-black cloth and leather interior. Must-have features like heated front seats will now also be standard on all LX and up models. So with all the changes in the 2013 Civic, this is much more than a refresh. We're talking about chassis, we're talking about interior, as well as technology in this car. That's all new. So the 2012, which was brand new just 18 months ago and is well on its way to being again the best-selling car in Canada this year, you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why all the substantial changes to this 2013?
One of the processes we go through, we're always asking our customers, we're getting feedback, how do you like the product, how can we improve it? And also when you look at the level of competition that's out there in the compact segment, it's probably the most important segment in the Canadian marketplace. And so if you're going to stay ahead of the game, you've got to continually refine. You know, if you look back historically, what we've done, we'd launch a car to be in the market for 5 years, we do a couple of tweaks here and there halfway through. That's not going to cut it anymore. So you've got to keep continuously evolving, and that's what we're doing here. We're looking at a very good 2012 Civic and making it a little bit better for 2013.
Mechanically, the 2013 Civic remains largely the same, except for some new work done on the suspension. That does make the chassis stiffer and improve steering response. Past this, improved insulation has also quieted the cabin. Price-wise, Honda has added $450 to the base Civic price for a total of $18,190 for the 2013 model. But then they've also added content, plus that new youthful look that they hope will put some excitement back into this 9th generation of Honda Civic. So it's safe to say that Honda is not used to the kind of competition that the Civic is now facing. This explains so many of the changes for 2013. Their competition is adding content, they're dropping price, and they're spending millions on design and marketing. So for 2013, this Honda Civic is the answer, and it's their opening shot in what may very well be a war in the mid-size segment.
Contrary to popular belief, I was not at the press preview for the Model T Ford. But we have been at this show now for almost 25 years, and when I think about the progress that's been made in cars, Well, it's pretty amazing. When I started in this business, the right side view mirror wasn't even standard equipment on most cars. In some cars, you actually had to pay extra for this critical safety feature. Back in those days, some cars still had the high beam switch as a button on the floor, where after about 5 years it would rust out with all the salt and crap you'd bring into your car on your boots. Now it's universally located on a steering wheel stalk, which of course is where it should have been all along. Most cars have the windshield wipers on a separate stalk on the right-hand side of the car, which again is where it should be. Some people, hello Mercedes-Benz, still have it on the turn signal lever, which is just wrong. But carry on. Back in those days, ABS brakes only on the highest end cars. Very few cars had electronic stability control, and that's virtually standard equipment on everything you can buy, which is, to me, absolutely remarkable. Engines are more powerful, they're more fuel efficient, and they're a lot cleaner as well. So you start to wonder, geez, Jim, what are you going to complain about for the next 25 years? Don't worry, I'll think of something. I'm Jim Kenzie.
So Mercedes says that the GL is outselling all other full-size sport utilities in both Canada and the United States. Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't the only one surprised to hear that, simply because when was the last time you saw a GL? Maybe an ML, but not a GL. Well, the reason for that is quite simple. They may be number one, however, in 2011, Mercedes sold a total of fewer than 23,000 GLs in North America. Can they make money at it? Well, Mercedes is in the business of doing just that, so who am I to argue? Now, when it comes to competition, I admit I'm a little partial to full-size GMs. However, if you like the GL, that means you like the smell of German technology. So the car to drive, the direct competition would be the Audi Q7. Before we go, make sure you check us out at MotoringTV.com and get in on the conversation. We want to hear from you, so join Facebook for the total motoring experience. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
And the Koreans, the Kias and the Hyundais of the world aren't afraid of Honda anymore. Obviously, Toyota never was, but even domestic automakers in North America, like General Motors and Ford, are not afraid of Honda anymore. And when you lose that fear, I think that opens up a lot of possibilities. And consumers out there are saying, well, maybe I can choose a different car than that Honda Accord that I didn't even test drive the last 3 that I bought because I knew it was going to be good. And now Honda has to win it in the showroom.